Hey everyone, it's me, Light Spiller. Wanted to talk about a subject that's been like the great debate. What makes something retro? I've looked it up, and this conversation only got sparked because of comments that were left on my channel, of course, from you great viewers, subscribers, and your awesome comments that you guys always seem to leave on this channel. And it intrigues me, it sparks things in my mind and stuff like that. I looked it up because can't remember a couple of people that left a comment. They were getting into a debate about the PS2 and how the PS2 is looked at and how the PS2 may be misconstrued. I looked it up. I looked up a few things. First, I looked up when the PS2 actually initially came out. It said March 2001. So that would make it 15 years ago. It actually just celebrated its 15 year last month. I'm thinking that's a great deal of time. But the funny thing is, when I actually think of retro, I don't think of the PS2. I do think of the GameCube as retro. I don't know why. Call it just my own feeling, opinion, ideas, or whatever the case is. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but it's the weirdest thing. But when I looked up what actually or technically would consider something retro, it says 15 to 20 years it would be considered retro. So technically, PS2 just reached its peak of being considered retro. Just let that sink in for a minute. Because I know that, let's see, 360 just, it's about the, I think it's, I know this is I think it released in, what was it, 05, 06? So that would make it, if it was 06, it would be 10 years. So that means it's got one more quarter left before it gets there. But I guess my thing is, it's always been the great debate because people continue to debate it. They feel like the cutoff point is the Nintendo 64. So given with that, I even looked at the PS1. I wanted to dive back a little bit, and I looked it up, and it was 94 that the PS1 came out. That would make it, let's see, 2 on top of that. Is it 22? Did it come out in 94 or 96? I'm trying to remember. I think it did say 94. Let's see. Yeah. 1994. 1994, that would be 2 more. That'd be 96. And then you add 20. So that'd be 22 years. Even with the PS1 being out 20 plus years, it's the weirdest thing. I don't know if it's just something that's instilled in me, because the first things that I always think about when I think about retro, I think Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube. I'm kind of shaky with that. Definitely Atari, Coleco, and television. Those are definitely way and beyond. I don't know, man. I guess I think about, games that are systems, games that I think about being retro, or items, or even movies, TV shows. Like, my wife and I were sitting there watching Punky Brewster the other day. Just because she brought it up, she sparked it up in conversation. So we decided to just do a little binge watching and marathon on YouTube of like the first 5 or 6 episodes of Punky Brewster. That show was released when I was barely walking. I think that show came out, I think it said 84 to 86 or something like that. I'm getting some of my years kind of hazy, but so that means I would have been 1, 2, 3. I had to be around 4 years old when that show came out. So by the time I watched it or started watching it, I must have been watching it in syndication or reruns, as we preferably call it. But anyway, I just been thinking about that because it was tickling my brain cells. It's the funniest thing. The stuff we debate about as gamers, as collectors, as whatever. Well, you know, because I hear people, no, the PS2 is not retro. Well, technically it is. If you think about it, it's 15 years and counting. I think why it's so hard. I thought about this earlier this week. The reason why it's so hard to look at as retro because Sony is almost to a default, or it's a fault of Sony because they just recently stopped selling the PS2. What was it, 2 years ago? So that makes it hard to even consider it that much more because it's like, okay, then the run. It ain't like the run was going on within the early 2000s, then they quit. They went in 2000, 2005, 2010. And now I think and even some of the PS2 titles are still out there that are fairly new. They're under 5 years. So that makes it even harder to wrap your mind around. But other than that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. What do you consider retro? Leave it down in the comments. If you want to do a video response, be more than willing, be more than free to do whatever you want. It's Life Spiller. Currently, I'm sitting here watching episode of House MD. I love this show. I love science. I was gonna be a medical doctor just to drop that in there for you guys. But other than that, it's Friday, man. I need to get out and get my life. By the time y'all see this video, it's gonna be weeks beyond. All right, I'm out.